The Life of Emile Zola, movie review. This is an example of an old movie that is clearly showing its age. In some ways, I think movies are improving, and comparing old and new biopics is a good way to see that. Old biopics have a need to whitewash their subjects, get rid of all subtlety, and have a sappy, sugary sweet Hollywood ending. Also, the subject of Emile Zola's life is too vast for this movie, and the rough cuts and jumps show in the editing. The Dreyfus affair alone would have easily been enough for a whole movie. If this movie would ever to be remade, maybe it should just focus on that one episode, instead of trying to tell Emile Zola's whole life. I think that's been a trend lately with a lot of newer biopics. I'm thinking of Selma, which only did one episode of Martin Luther King's life, or the Lincoln movie, which was only about one episode in Lincoln's life, or the Capote movie, which was just one episode in Capote's life. There's just too much. Emile Zola had too many things happen in his life to cram in all of this movie. They should just have done it about the Dreyfus affair. By the way, interesting note, since I originally saw this movie, I've become a little bit more aware of its history. This is one of the things, when I originally saw it, this didn't pop into my head for whatever reason, but it should have. Most of the movie takes place during the Dreyfus affair, and the movie came out in the 1930s. The Dreyfus affair was the affair of a famous case of anti-Semitism in Europe, where an innocent Jewish man was wrongly sentenced to jail, to kind of summarize it. So you can imagine that at the time this movie was very topical. I never just kind of put two and two together about it. And I've read since various reports kind of on the internet that go either way. One was an example of kind of Hollywood standing up to the Nazis, but I've read some other articles which have kind of accused this movie of cowardice, kind of downplaying the fact that Dreyfus was a Jew, or kind of cutting stuff out to try and appease the European markets or kind of stay out of politics. I don't know which account is true, but it's interesting if you go research the controversy behind this movie.